welcome to the Business Babble. How's everyone been?
Amazing, amazing.
Excellent. So today we've got Donald Munro from Business Coach Scotland. How are you doing?
All good, thanks, Johnny.
Welcome,
good
Donald.
To see you. Thanks, Mike.
We've
Thanks
brought
for coming
someone
on.
from the West.
Officially.
He got strip searched before he came in. So Donald, I think the whole point of the Business Babble is trying to educate some people out there, possibly starting business, thinking about starting business, or they're already in their business journey. From your background, what are you looking for in a potential client, or what are you doing trying to help them? What is it you do?
Thinking about a potential client, the best clients for me are established. They've been going at least 3 or 4 years, so they know what they're doing. They've maybe got a team of people and they're wanting to move their business from where they are now and to get to the next stage. One of the things I found, when you deal with smaller businesses, some tradespeople, a lot of them, they look at their bank account and if there's money in the bank, they think they're doing all right. They haven't taken into account all the other things that happen. And these are some of the things that my background is in accountancy, so I can help them understand profit loss balance sheet, some of these things. They don't need to know it in a lot of detail, but need to understand what it's about.
Right. I think it's difficult when you start a business. You're starting a business based on what you can do already, but there's a big arena around you. It's not just necessarily what you do, but you need all the helping hand around you so you can actively do better at the job that you do.
Aye.
I mean, what's the necessary steps? So you've found a client, you're helping them. Just for our viewers and listeners out there, what is the first strategic move that you do with them? A startup, for instance. What are you looking at?
Where do they want to go? What are their goals? Most people don't have goals written down. So where I start is, I give them a document and say, let's work out what your 12-month goals are. Pick half a dozen goals. They could be business goals, they can be personal goals, but as long as they've got something they can write down and make smart goals, strategic, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. I sometimes like to call them smarty goals.
Right.
So that wee I, and who doesn't like smarties? That wee I is for inspiring. A
Right.
goal has to be inspiring. If it's just a goal to get a new sofa, I mean, that's not all that interesting. So it's got to be something they're looking forward to. Then we break it down and say, right, that's your goal. We now know it's smart. We know what you want to achieve and when. Who do you need to be to achieve that goal? Because sometimes we need to be a different person. We might need to be more of a salesperson or more of a manager or more of an organiser or a better marketeer, whatever it is. So who do I have to be to achieve that goal? Then we say, right, who's going to help me with that? Who in the team is going to help me, or what do I need to learn? What skills do I need to develop? What do I need to do to help me go on that journey? And then we start working through these. That's the process, basically. That's
Different
the start
hats,
point.
And especially when you start up, you've got to have all the hats until you can get people in that can take on these roles. Generally, they're better at you than doing these roles. So yeah, when you first start up, it's a lot to take on.
It is.
Yeah,
It's
Johnny.
because you're doing the doing, but then you've got to do the admin,
Yep.
do the
Invoicing,
management,
all,
do
everything.
the marketing,
I think
all
you
that
find
stuff.
out, like, so people when they start business, you know, what's the top 3 reasons why people start a business? From your point, I'm putting you on the spot, you know, this is
Probably
freestyle.
because they're very good at something technical, and they think I can do this better on my own than the company I'm working for. So they're really good joiner or cabinet maker or something. They think I can do this better on my own. I can make more money. I can do blah. I can do whatever with it. And that's one of the reasons they start. A couple of others you mentioned earlier. Some people start a business because they want to have more of their own time, and then they very quickly realise when you're running your own business, your time kind of disappears.
Right.
Especially at the
Come across
startup. Startup phase is the busiest ever that you'll ever work.
I had somebody that I spoke to through the week, being in business, and now, what do they call it? Is it a 3-year itch, 5-year itch? This is where the difference is, and he's at his 5-year itch. And it was not refreshing, it was nice to hear that he was struggling, and I mean this with the greatest respect, it's because I felt that way as well. And he felt really alone, and when I actually spoke to him and said, most people go through this, period. You're not alone. I think just a bit of weight came off his shoulders. Says, we'll grab a coffee, we'll chat through it. And I think it's a likelihood for anybody starting a business. Yes, you're starting because you're inspired to be better, bigger, you want to do well for your family. But the big thing is that time management.
Yeah.
And I think you get caught in the hamster wheel, working 5 days, you're chasing the money, then you're 7 days. But as you're saying, you would start out and create goals for them,
Yeah.
and then establish in your diary. Because once you start a habit, like Monday, I don't work on Monday. Tuesday, I do my paperwork, whatever it may be, selling clothes,
Yeah.
doing our trades, whatever it may be. You have to manage your time, but start from the beginning and maybe seek some friendly advice to start off with, using this platform, speaking to you, and then eventually you'll build up. And that's when I feel guys like yourself you are the next person in the group. You are the next employee. You need to have someone that knows the numbers, runs the numbers.
Yes.
Somebody can also hold you account, because it's a
Accountable,
lonely place.
That's the biggest thing. It's holding people accountable. When you're working for yourself, there's lots of people holding you accountable: the VAT man, the tax man, your customers, your team, blah blah
Yep.
blah. But also, we all hold ourselves accountable, and that's the hardest person to be accountable to.
Yep.
I need to get this project done by Friday, 4 o'clock. It doesn't happen. I'll do it on Monday. If I'm holding myself, I'll do it then. Whereas if there's somebody outside holding you accountable, and I see that's my job, to be like a professional nag, to be the person that says, you said you wanted to do this by then, this is why you wanted to do it, this is what you wanted to achieve, let's focus and get it done. Break it down, prioritise, make sure we've got all the ducks in a row and just make it happen. And that's where I get the real enjoyment from working with clients, seeing them achieve what they wanted to, or hit their milestones, hit things when they really want them, and it can be really satisfying at times.
It's a growth of an individual itself.
It is, yeah.
There's nothing better than hitting the targets. I mean, that's what it's all about, really.
It's great.
And the growth of the business, everything goes
and
from
it's
that. Yep.
Aye. So would you get everybody to write them down then, as you were saying before? Is that the process? Is write the goal down, write the target, how you're going to measure that, and what market points you're going to reach, so you know you're moving forward constantly.
Write it down and then work through a number of other processes. So I would work with a client maybe once a month or twice a month, sit down with them, we'll have an agenda, we'll go through where they are, what they need to do. Do people always hit their targets? Not always, but if they're hitting their targets all the time, then we have to stretch them a wee bit. We have to say, right, we need to do a bit more or do a bit more. And then regular reviews with them to work out lots of different things, because it might be about the 3 challenges I think people have are time, team, money. They're not spending their time doing the right things, they're not focused on the right things. Their team aren't necessarily going in the right direction, so we need to help bring everyone on, and the leader's the only one that can control that, really.
Mm-hmm.
Or money. They want to make more turnover, more importantly, more profit. Because, again, from the accounting background, if a business isn't making money, it's not a business.
Yeah, it's not
and
viable.
It's very quickly not going to last.
So what kind, again, I'm putting you on the spot here, but
I've noticed.
I love this. But stories, success stories. You know, how long have you been going for now?
17 years.
Oh Christ, right, 17 years. So some of these success stories, the people that you've turned, the objection handling, because it's people have to, in my opinion, have to cut off that vulnerability. Just don't worry about being vulnerable, because we all are vulnerable when you're self-employed, you run a business. But if you're sharing that, we say dead fish on the table, but if we're doing that amongst good businesses, we're all trying to support you and help you. And you'll hear a lot of these stories helping businesses grow. But out of the 17 years you've been going, what success stories are there? That you're allowed to talk about? I know, because there's a thing called GDPR now, eh?
Sure, I'm not going to mention G or D or P or R. So let's. I got a call or an inquiry through LinkedIn from a company in Glasgow. I won't say what they did. A big company, international, and one of the directors had asked me to come in and have a chat about one of his co-directors. And it's because the guy he was doing everything he had to do, but he didn't work well with his team.
Right.
So we scheduled a number of sessions for me to work one-on-one with him, and it took a while, because he was very much you ask a question, it's a yes or a no answer. So it took a lot to get him to talk about it. What he could talk about in absolute minute detail was what the business did. So I learned a lot about that. He also learned a lot about how he could manage his team better, how he could manage himself better, and how he could actually work with the other people in the team, because that had been part of the challenge. Fast forward a good bit, he eventually left, started up his own business. They're now turning over about 5.5, 6 million, employ 40 odd people in Glasgow, and they're going great guns. He phoned me end of last year. I'm going, oh hi, how's it going? Fine, great, all good. What can I help you with? I just wanted to say thank you.
Right.
Nice.
What for? He said, well, thinking back on some of the conversations we had like a couple of years before that, he said, you really helped me get to where I am. And you don't often get that thanks.
Yeah. Recognition.
Yep.
You don't, not as personally as that, and I was kind of blown away by that actually.
It's brilliant.
Aye. Especially when it comes out the blue.
It was out the blue, totally.
I think that's a real good point to make. There's loads of us in business, and you've went through your own struggles. You've just got to remember other people are going through them at different times, and just to lean on someone, even if they're in the same business as you. Collaborations are a massive thing in business, but
yeah.
I don't know, we're just struck with we don't have that peripheral vision. I mean, I look at you, and this is not to get you a wee tickle or anything.
Thanks very much, John.
I learn a lot from you, just with your calmness and your ability to see ahead more than I do sometimes, and you're really articulated and you know what you're doing with, all this technical stuff. But I love that being around you. When I met you, Donald, you don't realise what I see. I seen somebody who was calm, it could you've got that trust aura about you, which sounds a bit cheesy, but you don't know what you're doing to the other person until they actually recognise it and tell you.
Yeah.
It gives you that lift.
It's, I know, interesting point, because you're right, you see yourself and you deliver the way that you think you should be speaking or whatever. You're right, you don't know what effect it has on other people. I've never really thought about it that way, Johnny, actually.
It's just having your eyes wide open. So I've met you through networking, so let's chat about, you mentioned about LinkedIn, you met this guy and you've got networking as well, so let's talk a wee bit about that.
I started off as an accountant about 100 years ago. Did my ACCA, didn't really like being in the office all the time, wanted to get out and about a bit more, so I started working for myself, started 4 businesses, closed one, sold all of another one, sold most of number 3, and Business Coach Scotland started in 2008. So 16, coming up 17 years, I've been doing this now. What was the question?
Where is it? I love this. Networking.
Yeah, what about networking?
So you were talking about LinkedIn when you were talking about your story. So there's an element of LinkedIn, and then there's an element of networking as well for business owners. So that's where I met you, that's actually where I met Mike 140 years ago.
Right.
And we're best of pals, but we don't sleep together.
Right.
But we're still touchy-feely.
Not always.
Not always, but it's nice. It's nice. But the power of your LinkedIn and then your power of networking, because that's what I've brought you along from that, because I liked you, I trusted you,
So,
you've got that aura about you, so the
every
value of
business,
it.
Every business is looking for more business, and you have to work out how do we get that. If you're a big business, if you're Coca-Cola, you'll do shed loads of marketing because you want to be visible so that people can go and buy your product. People can't necessarily come and buy my product. Face-to-face is what I do best, I think, because then people, you have a chat, you see where you're going. And I started using LinkedIn in 2008 because I thought it was the place to be. And just by putting stuff out there or connecting with people on there, I've had quite a lot of business through that. They come to me and ask questions. In 2016, I was contacted by a client who wanted to do a little bit of LinkedIn training for their team, international team all over Europe. So I did my first webinar. This was before Zoom, before Teams.
Nice.
Through some Citrix-based thing with me in front of my monitor and 12 people. And it's horrendous trying to do that on Zoom. But they were all over Europe. So I started doing LinkedIn training like that. And since then, I've worked with loads of clients who want to use LinkedIn to get more business, and it's a great platform. There's now, I don't know, 30 million people or so in the UK on LinkedIn, over 1 billion worldwide. I can guarantee that the people that you want to work with, and everyone else actually, your clients are out there, are on LinkedIn, they're there, so we can find them. So instead of having to go to lots of networking, which is great, or do mass mail emails or mail shots or advertising, we can go direct and find the people that are our ideal clients.
Yeah.
You can do really narrow searches on LinkedIn to find, let's say, a company of 50 people or more, turning over X, based in Newcastle, and you can find the MD and see how long they've been there. And you can do all this searching and you can find them directly. So LinkedIn is such a great resource, but most people aren't making the most of it.
Yeah.
There's two aspects to it. I think you have to get your own profile looking really good so that you're attractive to the right kind of person, i.e. the person that is your ideal client. And then the second half of it is using it as a resource, using the platform to find the people that you want to work with. Because you know yourself, you spend loads of time talking to somebody who isn't your ideal client. It can be a waste of time. But if you focus on the people that are, then you've got more chance of winning business from them.
And I suppose, what are you like for LinkedIn, Mike?
Like, I can definitely be better. My profiles, the question I would have now is, because I've got various businesses, how do you attach all those businesses to your profile? Because you can't have it all, you can't list them all on your profile.
You can and you can't. You need to have one core one, certainly, because that's the one that will appear at the top. You can have all the businesses that you're a part of down below. You can be currently a director of any number,
right?
Okay, or an owner. But the important part is the about section, which is the bit that tells people who you are and what you do. And in there, yes, you just need to break down. You run this, and this is for so and so. You run this is for other kind of clients, and we've got enough space to do that. You've got a huge chunk of space that most people don't make use of.
And if you've got, like, so if I want to have a profile on each business, are you able to do that still or not?
No, but well, yes and no.
As in not on that one, yeah.
Your personal profile is you.
Yep.
And you can talk about the 4 or 5 businesses or more here, but then each business has their own company page.
Right.
So you can really go to town on that side, so that if they're interested in that part of it, then they can go to that company page and find out all the details of that.
And because that's definitely where I need to sharpen things up a bit. Like, if you went on my profile just now, there's not enough information there on everything I'm doing.
I don't go on mine.
Well, most people are the same, to be honest. And what they're not, what you need to do is when you're writing your profile, when you're creating what you want to say, you need to think about it not from your point of view.
Yep.
What is your ideal client? What are they looking for? What problems do they have? What problems are you solving? That's what they want to. Nobody's going to Google business coach, for example. They'll say, I've got a problem with my team or my marketing or my whatever. So it's what problems are we solving?
Yeah.
That's where we need to focus, I think.
So if you were for someone starting up, what would be the top 5 bits of advice for a LinkedIn page that you could give them?
Okay, top 5 things is people, when you land in somebody's profile, they're going to look at it for maximum 20-30 seconds before they decide to either stay or move on. So your description of what you do, most people just put sales manager, director, company owner. What we need to do is you need to tell people what you do. Specialise in delivering quality chemical products for the biophysics industry, for example. Just off the top of my head.
Well, that's pretty good, that's
Well,
it. Well done. Freestyle there, Donald.
Where I was going to go. Your banner, a picture at the top that explains a bit. It's the way I look at it is it's your virtual reception. What do people expect to see if they were coming to your business? Good photograph of yourself and full contact information filled in so people can find you. Yes, they can message you on LinkedIn, but you want your email address, you want your phone number on there, you want all that, and then start filling out the about section that tells people, that will details the kind of challenges you help business owners with.
And it is a very different thing from like say Facebook and all. You know, it's not that kind of channel.
No, not at all. So that's the second part. That's how do we use it as a BD resource? Do we put content out there? Do we tell people what we do? Do we ask questions? Do we create polls? Do we create events? All of that stuff we can do on there, and it's primarily B2B, business to business. So that's the main focus, I think. But we can use it for anything. But yes, they don't want to see what you've had for breakfast.
Aye, exactly.
Aye.
And then, so for posting stuff on there, then what would you suggest is a good thing to be doing for a business owner to be kind of putting out there.
Yeah. Tell people the kind of case study idea.
Right.
You don't necessarily need to name names, but here's a project I did for a client. We started here, we got to there. Somebody had a challenge with this, we helped them deliver that. Because what we're looking for then is somebody who else has got that problem to say, actually, that's just what I need. That's exactly the problem I have.
Mhm.
So if they can recognise that in your content, then that's going to create a bit of engagement. And what might they do? They might like a post, you know, or they might comment on it. But then it's our job as the business owner to look at everyone that's liked our posts, commented on them. We can connect with them. It's a lot of work involved,
There is,
like
yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
But then I reckon every single bit of business that anybody gets starts with a conversation.
Aye.
One conversation.
Yep.
Whether you're buying a packet of chewing gum or building a house for somebody, starts with a conversation. You can have thousands of conversations on LinkedIn so easily.
And do you think there's like, this might sound away, an honour amongst everybody on LinkedIn? If somebody's messaging you, they're going to respond to you. You know, we talk about in some networking, you give them 3 opportunities or opportunities, as I call it, and then you just go leave them be.
Again,
Does that tell you they're the right person to talk to, or they're not really a business owner as such?
No, it depends. You know, and you're right, you can only take people at face value. I've got a call scheduled this week with somebody I connected with on LinkedIn, sent my message saying, I'm looking to do more business in this type of area. He sent a message back saying, that'll be interesting. So I've got a call scheduled. So it's like anything, you know, I don't have any expectation that that'll go anywhere,
Right.
but who knows?
You just don't
Every
know.
conversation can lead to something positive, I think. Like when we met at networking.
You know, it was just the way you shook my hand and cuddled me. I loved it, eh?
Straight in
I
there.
loved it, eh?
I couldn't help but notice you were looking at my photo on the screen, Johnny. And thinking,
It was the eyes. It was
It's
loves
all
a
about
good
the
eye.
eyes. that was one take for his photo. But there you go. Look at the development there. You know, you're doing stuff for us, my company, for Lisa and I. Made the step to get up early that morning to go there, and then chose to speak to people, and you chose to speak to me and my wife.
Yeah.
And you know, it's amazing how things just unravel along a period of time. And that be for the education for anybody starting a business. Don't be worried about having the conversations. It's just conversations. Open your mouth, open yourself up, and people are wanting to help.
You're right, it's just a conversation. I think a lot of people go to networking events thinking, I'm going to find clients. It doesn't happen.
No.
You find somebody else to talk to, you see if you've something they can help you with or you can help them with, because you know I go to networking events partly to find potential clients, but also to see if somebody else is offering something that my clients can benefit from.
Perfect.
And it's brilliant because I've made so many introductions through networking that helps my clients and helps other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a big part of it.
Well,
Massive. And you just don't know, like you're saying, you don't know who you're going to talk to.
No,
The doors that could be opened for you just by having the right conversation with the right person on the right day.
Exactly.
Are just, you know, it's...
The other way to look at it is, I don't know who you know,
Exactly.
and you don't know who I know. I don't mean that in any
No.
no,
kind
but
of way,
it's
but-
true though.
but we don't know who the other person knows,
Yep.
who might say, I was talking to somebody the other day who says X, Y, Z. All right, I might want to talk to that person. And there you go, there's an introduction.
Yep. And like LinkedIn and all that, you know, you just, that on its own, you don't know how many connections they've got, even on that one avenue, that one stream.
Well, you do, because you can see how many
you can go and
connections
see,
they've got.
but it's then who they are and...
You're right, and you don't know what influence they might have or what challenges they've got or what's happening with them. So it's a conversation.
Yeah.
Do you know, one of the things that I found, I was getting friend requests and I was just accepting them.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't really looking into who they were as such. You're just thinking, well, it's just grown a network and I've not even really spoke to them yet. But do you think it's worth getting more of a quality type of network, or just throw the net out there and see what you get type of thing? What do you feel's better on that?
I must admit, I selectively choose the people
Aye.
that I want to connect with. I'll, if somebody sends me a connection request, I'll look at it, see who they are, where they are, what they do, and if I think it could be useful, I'll connect. If not, I just ignore it. I mean, if it's somebody I know, then obviously I'll
It's
accept
different,
it, but
yeah.
if it's somebody I don't know, which we all get loads of, random connection
Yep.
requests, I'd rather have a focused network.
One of one of the reasons I wouldn't necessarily go and check them all properly is because then they'll see I've looked and then not connected with them. So
But then you can put yourself in invisible mode.
right, see, these are the things we need to know.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Incognito.
Yeah, I mean, you're not stalking as such.
Just taking an interest.
But you can look at people's. If you put yourself in invisible mode, you can go and look at people's profile, and they don't know that you've done that.
Well, that's worthwhile, and it's
But
not.
then you need to remember to switch yourself back.
Yeah.
But there's also a flip side to that.
'Cause they can
When
do
the
email.
sales, if they have seen you've looked there, right, and they then text you, or whatever you do, email back, I've seen you looked at your blah blah blah, my profile page.
But not connected.
Is there something of interest? Said, no, I was just scouring the internet, I looked at your picture, it looked quite good, so I thought I looked in, but I don't think there's any alliances we can make, but thanks very much for reaching out. It's the start of a conversation, and it might lead to, because you don't know who they know or what they know.
Exactly. And there's a section on LinkedIn. If you look in your LinkedIn profile, there's a bit that says who viewed my profile.
Mm-hmm.
So you can look at all the people that have looked at your profile, and I do that regularly. And if somebody's looked and I don't know who they are and they look useful, I'll send them a message saying I noticed you looked at my profile.
Right, so we're going down the rabbit hole here now, right?
Focus on this. So
And this is to both of you, right? And I like what you're throwing the net out there and see what captures.
Well,
and
not
then it's
on
up to you to
purpose,
follow
but-
up with everything.
Yeah.
And you've said that will follow up. So I respectfully hear what you're saying. You're narrowing it down so you're not wasting your time having too many conversations that are going to lead to nothing. So I get that part of it. However, let's say on Monday I looked at my LinkedIn, I'm going to spend 2 hours on LinkedIn, and all I'm going to do is go through all of it, link in as many people as possible, I'll see what replies I get back from it, and then I'll work on, hustling through that. Would that sound a better use of your time? Do you think you would get something back from that? Or do you think it would be... I'm trying to measure this out, because there's obviously... We spoke about business, and if there was only one way of doing it, there'd be one book,
Yeah.
and there'd be a multi-millionaire, billionaire. So
I
there's
would-
several ways to doing it.
I
Just from
definitely
your
would throw the
experience,
net out.
do we have time to do that? Do we want to make time for it? Do we see value in that?
You definitely, I would say, need to do it because it's another stream of potential income. I definitely wouldn't be throwing the net out now. Like, that was early doors for me. Much more, like, I will look at things now a bit more strategically as to who I want to be allianced with on LinkedIn. But yeah, that's me.
Just my wee clouds are turning here, eh?
I would say, to answer your question, Johnny, you need a sort of rounded approach to marketing, so LinkedIn can't be the only one. It's a great
No.
way to do it, but it's not the only way
Yeah.
to do it. So you need to do your own thing as well. Have your website, have your go to networking events, make sure you're talking to people, talk to your existing clients, previous clients, all of that. And then LinkedIn is another way to gather connections. So it's one, but it's not the only one.
So if I ask you maybe one more question from my point, unless Mike's got more questions for you, where's the end goal for you then?
For me,
Aye.
what a great question. You mean from the business point of view?
Well, business equals life, likes, family, all that.
Yeah.
Where's the end goal? Let's say for business, where's the end goal for you in business?
Okay. I've got a young family, so I'm spending less time working with clients just now.
Right.
So over the next 4 or 5 years, I plan to get that time down a wee bit. The clients are building up, so I need to be able to get to a stage where I can either move that block of clients on to someone else.
Yep.
And will I retire? It's I was speaking to somebody about that the other day. I can't see me not doing elements of this at some point. Because I've got a couple of very big clients, I could quite happily spend all my time doing that. But all my time being like a day a week. That would be great. And then you've got time with the kids, time to do all the other things you want to do.
Do you know what was interesting when I asked that question, how you went away and thought and you smiled at the same time? But it shows me a few things. No psychotic here, I'm just looking at things. I
A wee
like
bit
it.
psychotic.
But I look at it like that. You obviously do what you do because yes, it's financial for your family, building up. But you enjoy what you do. You can see that you enjoy what you do, even though it'll be hard. You'll have hard clients sometimes. It's like knocking a bit of wood sometimes. And I've found that just dealing with clients, you just don't get what you do. But there's that inner drive that you want to get better. You want to get better. You want to get the right clients because 17 years in the game doing that's a hell of a long time.
I know, and when you put it like that,
And you're only 33.
I know when you. This is the longest time I've ever worked in a business for.
Right.
one business, and not that it's just because it's my business, but it's every day, every day is different, and you're right, you do have some crappy days, and you think that didn't work, what's happened here, but then you have some brilliant days where you get fantastic feedback from a client from doing the simplest thing, and that's just so satisfying. It really is.
The power of you.
Highs are high and the lows are low.
Yep.
One quick question I had was, see on, like I get notifications through now where I've seemed to have got myself as somebody that's a professional and I can answer all these questions. So an expert, you get these questions thrown at you and I'm an expert that can answer them. And is that a worthwhile thing? I've kind of done some and then kind of poo-pooed it a wee bit. I don't know what you would get from it. Or
It's something fairly new that LinkedIn have started doing. They're saying, you're a recognised specialist in this. What do you think of that? And what they've done is they've gone through your profile, they've taken something that you do and said, right, so you're a specialist in jam manufacturing in Peru. Tell me, how does the process work over here? Or whatever. You can edit that out, actually.
there's no edits
No, that's
here.
good.
But is there value in it? Yeah, put in your own thoughts, put in your own opinions, and let's see what kind of conversation comes from it.
See from that.
Interesting, yeah.
Cool.
Well, to be fair, that was actually
Quite
good,
enjoyable. Thanks very much for your time, I have to say. And
Good
we
to
should
meet
we should have you back on, I think.
I'd be happy to come back on. I'll wear a different jacket.
We've got closing the
I
cupboard
know,
there.
we just keep changing now.
But-
One of the things I would say is just the listeners, that we need questions. If we can just DM us with some questions and then anything on LinkedIn or other things,
Absolutely, yeah.
and we can get you back on. And
Find me on LinkedIn
Yeah.
or find me through you guys. Absolutely be great to talk to anybody about any queries I've got.
So that's Donald Munro at Business
Coach
Scotland.
Yeah.
And guys out there, remember, this is your world. Shape it or someone else will.
done, John.
Spot on.
I can't believe I actually remembered
Yeah,
that.
I know, it's amazing.
That's it.